No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, 16 teams are down to 6. We'll have the second round of the quarterfinals today, and then we will have the final 4 of the college basketball crown moving Saturday to T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas, and that will include your Boise State Broncos. Circa Resort and Casino, the spot for our live broadcast today. How are we doing, everybody? My name is BJ Rains. We welcome you into Circa Resort and Casino. Great show for you today. We're going to have RJ Keene join us live to talk some basketball in this game last night and moving on to the semifinals. Nathan Carroll's going to join us to talk about the addition of Dylan Andrews, the 4-star point guard from UCLA, a big pickup on the basketball side. We'll discuss that. And we'll even talk a little spring football. Michael Callahan will join us. We'll talk some football. We'll talk about the loss of Braxton Feely, and that is a big loss. We're not going to sugarcoat that, but Braxton Feely moving on to the transfer portal. We'll get Michael Callahan, a former teammate of his thoughts on that and what it means for the football team moving forward. So a lot to get to on today's show, and this is a Jackson's Thursday, so we appreciate all of you for joining us on a Jackson's Thursday. Hope you get that 99-cent coffee from Jackson's anytime, day or night. Just use that Let's Go Rewards app, and you get a coffee for 99 cents at Jackson's. Our title sponsor, of course, RowPaint.com. Andy Rowe and Company. I say it every day, but there would be no Bronco Nation news without RowPaint.com. So thanks to Andy and everybody at RowPaint.com. All your painting needs, whether it's those concrete coatings, the interior, exterior painting, make sure you hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe, and RowPaint.com. Boise State 100-93, taking down Butler. They will advance now to take on Nebraska. And as Robbie says, on to husk the Cornhuskers. That will be Saturday, 11:30 a.m. back in Boise on Big Fox. And Jared says with the small crowds, it would be better to stay at MGM or is T-Mobile a better arena? I mean, T-Mobile is certainly a better arena. It's an NHL hockey arena. It's much newer. It's much nicer. It's going to be a really cool experience for the players. But and I get it in theory. You want to, make the semifinals and finals a bigger deal. T-Mobile Arena certainly will do that, but the crowds have not been great. I don't know what they've announced as the attendance, but it's only been, maybe 1,500, 2,000 people at a lot of these games. With that said, it's going to look even emptier over at T-Mobile Arena. Maybe a lot of people are coming in town for the weekend's games. Maybe it's easier to get tickets. Maybe more fans in the Las Vegas area are just buying more seats for the Saturday and Sunday games, or I don't know. Maybe they give away more free tickets to fill the place. I have no idea, but I would expect it to be to look even emptier probably on Saturday and Sunday. But I've actually been pleasantly surprised, all things considered. I know people like Kurt that don't like this tournament and want to poo-poo things in the chat. I get it. It's an easy thing to say, oh, nobody's coming, there's no fans, nobody cares. But if you actually have been at these games, the crowds have actually been a little bigger than I thought they would be. I'm a little surprised, to be honest, the amount of fans that they've gotten. Is it full? No. But, I thought you literally might have 20 people there. I thought it might be literally an empty arena. No, they've had nice crowds, decent crowds. It's actually been a pretty well attended event, all things considered, for the first year. So I do think there's some potential to this tournament. I think it has a chance really to move forward. And I'm excited for the potential of this. Obviously, the goal every year is to get Boise State into the NCAA tournament if you're a fan. But this is certainly becoming a nice consolation tournament for Boise State. I mentioned R.J. Keene. He is going to join us live here in about 7 or 8 minutes. We'll get R.J. Keene's perspective on this game. We'll talk about Dylan Andrews on the basketball side with Nathan Carroll as well. And then, as I said, later in the show, we'll talk a little football with Michael Callahan as well. So hour later start time today. I'm just going to be completely honest with the 8 a.m. Pacific here in Vegas, and I didn't have just worked out easier today to start a little later. No need to rush into the show today. We have nothing going on the rest of the day here basketball wise, so just thought let's start a little later, see what the viewership's like for once, and I appreciate all you guys here at 10 a.m. Mountain Time for joining us today instead of 9 a.m. Alexandra says the Crown will pick up steam. It's only year one. Deggy got to 2,000. Yes, he did. Tyson Degenhart late in the first half gets the layup. 2,000 career points for Tyson Degenhart. What a cool round number for him. He's now his next milestone. I think he's about 15, 20 points away from the single season scoring record. So we're excited, as he's chasing for that. But he's already got the career scoring record. Now the first to get to 2,000 career points. And I was rewatching the broadcast. By the way, pretty cool. Gus Johnson, just hearing him doing a Boise State broadcast. Wasn't perfect. We had a David Bowie reference. We had, a lot of references every time out about the 50K being on the line. It wasn't the perfect broadcast, but I thought Gus Johnson did a pretty good job, all things considered, for his first Boise State game, maybe ever. And that made it feel a little big time with Gus Johnson on the call. And I'm trying to think. Oh, he mentioned that there's only about 300 players in college basketball history that have gotten to 2,000 points, I believe. So 2,000 career points. Tyson Degenhart, we'll look up the exact number, but one of about 300 players, 300 people in the history of college basketball that can say they got to 2,000 career points. That's pretty cool deal and for Tyson and for this program. And now they are $50,000 richer, and they are headed towards Saturday's semifinals. 2 days off here, so that's a little interesting, a little unique. The whole basketball team is actually headed to the hockey game tonight. The Las Vegas Golden Knights have a home game tonight, and so the whole team will be heading to that, and they will actually get to experience and see T-Mobile Arena for the hockey game. Then they'll convert it over to basketball. They'll practice there on Friday and have the semifinal game on Saturday. A quick thought on Nebraska before we dive back into last game, but that's going to be a very, very tough game, folks. Boise State is number 47 at KenPom. Nebraska is number 49, and the projection from KenPom on this game is Boise State by 1, 73-72, but it's 51% to win, 49% to loss. So it's basically a dead heat. Boise State and Nebraska, they had to pick somebody to win. Boise State 73, Nebraska 72. And you look at Nebraska, they don't have any bad losses on their schedule. They haven't lost to a team ranked outside the top 85 at KenPom. No bad losses on their schedule. They were 17-9 on February 16th and just cruising towards probably a 7, 8, 9 seed in the NCAA tournament. And they tanked down the stretch, lost to Penn State, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio State, and Iowa, went 0-5 to finish the regular season and didn't make the Big Ten tournament. They did not make the NCAA tournament, but they've come back with 2 nice wins over Arizona State, who was 74th at Ken Palm, and Georgetown, who was 90th. So 2 nice wins for Nebraska, and that is going to be a really, really tough game. They play solid defense, solid offense. There's not a lot of holes in Nebraska's game. And so I know Boise State's playing well and kind of riding high right now with this momentum, but it's going to be one of the tougher games they've played all season on Saturday against Nebraska. We'll really dive into that matchup more tomorrow as we get you set for the game. But last night, 100-93. What an impressive game for Boise State. 193 win was super impressive. We mentioned Tyson Degenhart, 21 points, 8 of 13 shooting, gets over 2,000 career points, and he's not even maybe the story offensively. That's because Javen Buchanan goes for 27 points, 11 of 13 from the field, just so efficient, 27 points on 13 shots. He's getting healthier. He's going to probably have to have a surgery or something after the season. He is playing injured right now, has been the last couple weeks, which nobody's really talked about, which is why his production maybe has not been as good later in the season. And those things usually come out later in the season or after the season that a guy was playing injured. And sure enough, sounds like Javen Buchanan has been dealing with some stuff physically, had that week off to rest up and heal a little bit, and he sure looked healthy last night. 27 points, as I said, in just 25 minutes and on just 13 shots. So super impressive from Javen Buchanan. Alvaro Cardenas, 19 points, 6 of 10 from the field. Andrew Meadow, 14 points. Boise State for the game shoots 60%. That's right, 60% for the game, and it was just a super impressive game for Boise State, and overall, the defense was not great. I mean, they give up 57.6% shooting. I mean, if you're Butler and they tell you before the game you're going to shoot 58% from the field, you make 13 threes, you probably think you're going to win. If you're Boise State and you say, yeah, Butler's going to make 13 threes and they're going to shoot 58% from the field, you probably think that's a pretty bad loss for Boise State. But somehow the offense was great. They score 100 points. That's 189 points in the last 2 games. And you look at this run Boise State is on now, guys. I mean, it's been pretty impressive. Alvaro Cardenas told me after the game they're clicking at the right time. I mean, Boise State, guys, in the last 10 weeks, we're going back to January 22nd when they lost to Colorado State. But the last 10 weeks since then, they've lost 3 games. Man, I know a couple of the weeks they didn't play, but in 10 weeks, Boise State has 3 losses. If you're a Boise State fan, you've only woken up 3 times in the last 2.5 months. Ticked off about a Boise State loss going back to January 22nd. So just a super impressive run that Boise State is on. Obviously, went 9-2 to finish the regular season, got all the way to the conference championship game. And we're going to have to, do some research on this here moving forward. But I would have to imagine here this is going to be the 37th game that Boise State is playing this season. I would have to imagine 37 games is going to be a season high for Boise State in terms of the most games they've ever played in a season. They're going to have a chance to tie the wins record tomorrow or on Saturday. If Boise State wins, that'll be their 27th win, which will be tie for the most in program history. They would have a chance if they win the tournament to get 28 wins, which would be the program record for wins. But Boise State going back to basically mid-January is 13-3. I mean, this team is just clicking at the right time. They're playing great. And, if they hadn't had, I know it's, I know the sayings, if nuts, can't eat butts, whatever the saying is. The Boston College shot, that happened. The Utah State shot, the 4-point play, it happened. The offensive rebound 3-pointer against Colorado State, it happened. You can't change it. I understand it. But if any one of those shots doesn't happen, Boise State, probably gets in the NCAA tournament, and they may have been a team that could have made a run. I mean, you look at the way Boise State is playing right now. I know the championship game against Colorado, was a tough one. But even the senior night game, Nick Clifford goes for 36 points or whatever it is. I mean, you kind of chalk that one up. I mean, overall, the last 2.5 months, Boise State has been playing really, really, really good basketball. And it's been an impressive run here the last couple of months. And hopefully they can keep it going here with 2 more wins to get them, into the semifinals and finals and to win this thing here in the Crown. I want to thank a couple of quick sponsors. RJ Keene going to join us momentarily. Hey, RoePaint.com, our title sponsor, ROEPaint.com. All your painting needs, make sure you hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and RoePaint.com, whether it's those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting, Andy Rowe and Company at RoePaint.com. Hey, Taco Bell, you looking for a good meal for the family this weekend? You looking for a cheap, affordable, delicious meal? Well, Taco Bell has you covered. And if you're looking for a job, they're also hiring as well. TacoBellWorks.com. You can get more information. The Nicolason Family SON Management Group do a tremendous job here in the Treasure Valley with all the Taco Bell locations, and they've committed $400,000+ for student-athlete scholarships for the men's and women's basketball team. So return the favor. Get more information online at TacoBellWorks.com. But next time you're looking for a meal for the family, hit up our friends at Taco Bell. Hey, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union. You don't know what you're missing until you make the switch, folks. Rain's family couldn't be happier with Idaho Central Credit Union. ICCU.com. Make the switch today, ICCU.com. And today is a Jackson's Thursday here at Bronco Nation News. That means the meal deal, $5 meal deal. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for $5. That's right, 2 hot dogs, a kettle chips for $5 at Jackson's. And as mentioned previously, 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night, using the Let's Go Rewards app. That's the $5 meal deal. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips for $5, and the 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night, from our friends at Jackson's. All right, as I mentioned, RJ Keene, it looks like he is ready to go. Folks are very intrigued as to where you're doing the interview from today, RJ, based on last Mountain West tournament here. But good morning. Congratulations on the win. How are we doing?
Good. Hotel hallway is where we're going.
Hotel hallway. All right, so we're safe. Appreciate it, RJ, for jumping on, waking up early here on a Thursday. But man, 2 wins. You guys are still alive. You're still hanging with your teammates, your buddies. You got more cash on the line coming up. Got to be a pretty good feeling waking up today.
Yeah, pretty good feeling. I mean, 2 wins is what we want. I mean, 2 more is our goal, so we're 2 away.
What stood out to you most about last night's game? Scoring 100 points, 4 guys, scoring a lot of points in double figures. You guys hit some threes. I mean, overall, offensively, you guys, it's 189 points in 2 games here.
Yeah, offense is clicking down in Vegas, and we have a mindset of like we're playing loose, playing free. We got nothing to lose anymore, and we want to go win some cash, and might as well play some good offense and just have some fun and let loose.
$50K. Did they have a check waiting for you guys back in the locker room, or is that all settled after the tournament, I guess? But that's kind of a cool side story to this that you guys do. You guys are playing for some real money here, and it sounds like that is a big motivator here.
Yeah, I just actually on the way down the elevator like a couple minutes ago, Matt Charles explained to me how we're getting paid, and basically Vivid Seats is the sponsor. I think we just have to make 1 post for it, and then after the tournament, they divvy out the cash on how everyone gets paid. So that's how they're going to do it.
Nice. And you don't have to, say it here. I don't know if they want it out or not, but have you guys voted or decided how them? You don't have to, again, don't tell me how it is if you don't want to, but is there a plan? Do you guys know what the plan is in terms of voting, in terms of how you guys are going to divvy up the cash?
To be honest, I have no idea. They have not said a word about it. And if they did, I would let you all know because I'm a loyal supporter and with information. But no, I have no idea, to be honest.
You guys are college kids, man. I mean, you've made some deals here and there, but you're not exactly pouring in the NIL money yet. Hopefully that's coming. But I mean, to win this tournament and maybe get 25, 30 grand for yourself here. Explain to the fans here. I mean, this is a real large amount of money that you guys are playing for, and that's a big deal to you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge deal. For me, as a guy who played like 7 minutes a game last year, didn't sign an NIL deal for this year at all with the school. So this is huge. Yeah, this money will help a lot because I got 1 deal. Shout out my boys at St. Roofing and Timberstone. Don't forget them too. But yeah, I got 1 deal. And yeah, the money it'll help a lot for the long haul. And for next year, yeah, we'll see what's going on with that. But yeah, this money means a lot to us, and that's why we're going to play hard and play loose.
What's defensively, though, if I had told you before the game, hey, Butler's going to shoot 57% and they're going to make 13 threes, you probably would have thought you were in trouble. I guess you just outscored them yesterday, but defensively still probably not your best defensive game of the season, giving up 93.
Yeah, I mean, we knew, I think they were like, I forgot what the number was to be exact, but I know it's top 10 in the country in 3-pointers, We knew that's what they emphasized on us to guard them. But like I said, it's the crown. Who knows? Maybe you can shoot 60% and still win. I mean, 93 points is a lot to give up, but like I said, we're a defensive team. We rebound, and they didn't miss. And we got to be.
Sorry, take us back to the first time you ever heard about the crown. When was the first time the crown was ever like brought up to you, and what was your initial thought?
Okay, this is kind of a funny story. So I watch a lot of Big Ten hoops, and there's a game on Fox, and I see this thing called the crown, and I'm like, imagine if we have to play in that thing. Like, that's the first thought that came to my mind. Imagine we have to play in that. And then as I keep going and going and going, it kind of got a little more real. And then around, I would say, the day before senior night, Colorado State, the seniors met, and it was kind of suspect. They didn't tell us what they were meeting about. It was Tyson, Omar, and Alvaro. And I'm like, it's definitely about the crown. Like, it's 100% about the crown. So I pull out. Deggy wouldn't tell me anything because, you know him. He's a little stingy with everything. Can't even get anything out of him. So I pull out of the side. I'm like, if it's the crown, let me know right now. And it was the crown. I'm like, all right, I'm playing so hard in the Mountain West Championship, so I can just go in the tournament. But like I said, it's given opportunities, and I'm blessed that we're here. We're playing hoops in April somehow. Can't believe that. I feel like our season's lasted forever. But we're playing for something. We're playing for some money. We're playing for some cash. And Tyson got 2,000 points out of it, and it's just a special thing to do. And we love each other, and it's hard. You see these group of people, they don't look like they're that much connected, and our groups look connected as ever. And it just shows a testimony to our team, our coaches, and how they're getting us dialed in.
And it seems like, at least from the media side and from what I've seen, like it's a first-class tournament. It's been run really well, and everything's been nice, and they've done a really nice job, even in like the concourses and stuff, which you probably haven't seen in terms of the signage for the logos of the teams and the tournament, and taking this very seriously, and now getting to move over to T-Mobile Arena for Saturday's game. I mean, having Gus Johnson on the call and on Fox. I mean, it seems like this has been they've treated this thing as a pretty big-time tournament, and I would expect it to grow.
Yeah, with Fox behind it, this thing's going to take over the NIT easy. Like, you can tell with the production, like talking to Gus Johnson before the game, he's pointing at me and starts laughing at me, and I'm like, what is he laughing at me for? So and then he starts walking over, and he goes, has anyone ever told you you look like Hawkeye? And I'm like, yeah, I actually get that quite a bit, surprisingly. Yeah, he goes, all right, I'm going to tell that on the announcer once you hit 3. And then I watched it back, and I think exactly what he said. We got Gus Johnson's a legend. I mean, it's a world-class event here. Lon Kruger's running it too. Kevin Kruger's involved. Like, there's a bunch of great people involved that are in this event, and I think it's to take over the NIT and be super successful.
You mentioned Tyson getting to 2,000. Al, Omar, these seniors getting some more games. I mean, when you guys take the floor on Saturday, I think there's going to be literally 8 teams left still playing college basketball. You got the 4 teams in the Final Four. The NIT is going to be over. The CBI, the CIT is over by then. You guys are going to be one of 8 teams still suiting up to play basketball. I know it's not the tournament maybe you were hoping to get in when it started, but to still be playing in April and with what's on the line and still being with your teammates, I mean, what is the feeling like?
Yeah, the feeling is kind of mutual. I mean, we're playing with a chip on our shoulder. We know we should be in the NCAA tournament, but we got granted a great opportunity to go in the crown, and we got to use this advantage as, you know, make a little bit of cash and kind of help out in the long run, you know, fund my housing for next year, fund something, you know. But like I said, we have a goal. We want to break the program record of 28 wins, and that's our goal coming in, and we want to achieve that wholeheartedly, and we have an opportunity to on Saturday and Sunday.
RJ Keane, our guest, courtesy of Signature Roofing, online at mysignatureroofing.com. We appreciate them for their support all season with RJ. Mysignatureroofing.com, whether it's a re-roof, repair, an estimate, inspection, all your roofing needs. Make sure you're hitting up our friends at Signature Roofing. And I think you told me, that first practice, you weren't sure what to expect, or going back to practice after the spring break was kind of a tough, like you had your time with your family, you were kind of away from basketball, and part of guys might have been like, yeah, I just wish I was done. The motivation, the buy-in for this team. I mean, some of these teams, their schools force them to come down here and be in the crown. I mean, you guys, could you tell early on, was it a slow start, or when did it kind of click that you felt like these guys were, and our guys obviously bought in all the way, wanting to be down here for this tournament?
Yeah, to be honest, we do want to be here. We want to play hoops. We love hoops. And that first Monday practice was tough. It was to be honest, it was tough. But once you got through that, broke the sweat, and then realized we're competitors and we like playing basketball, it was pretty easy. And we came to Boise State to win games, and this just helps us win some more games. And playing for Tyson, Alvaro, and Omar is extremely easy because Al and Deggy are like my best friends, and they deserve the world, and give them extra cash in their pocket. If the glue guy can go play a little bit harder, somehow I'm making some alley-oops now. I don't know where that came from, but yeah.
Yeah, throw that down, man. We'll just blame the pass. Come on.
I mean, I'm a little stiff white boy, it's hard for me to, get up there and just kind of flush that. I'm an old school, lay it in, get back on D, and just, hype up the crowd a little bit.
A lot of comments coming in. RJ, great game, dude. Sky says that's not a stall, RJ. Let's see. Jordan says, I know it's a joke here, but how much of their $5 million did Butler offer you while you were chilling on their bench yesterday?
So funny story about that. Like, as I jump in the bench, I'm kind of falling over kind of a little bit, and I laying there, they're not doing anything. I'm like, hey, can y'all at least help me up? And they go, no, we're not helping you up. So I'm like, all right, cool. What was that play? Like, if someone falls at my bench, I'm pushing them up so they don't fall over.
Yeah.
And you can ask our coaches. I fall into our bench all the time at practice. Like, I have some clips I might throw up like of me just drilling chairs. I have bruises everywhere because I'm just diving it. Because Bernie gets so mad at me if I don't play hard in practice. He's like, you're getting the young guys a bad example. I'm like, all right, cool, watch. If I play hard, I almost get hurt every day. So so that's kind of a funny story.
How tough was Bizjack to guard, RJ? Best shooter? Is he the best shooter you have faced this season?
Yeah, he's tough. He's a Texas kid, so they make Texas kids tough around here. But yeah, he's a great player, and yeah, he shot the daylight out of it, and it was more to like Alvaro got lit up. I think we gave him some crap about it, and we were like, "Dang, Al, you get lit up every game," and we were just joking around about it. But no, yeah, he did hit a couple on me, but yeah, he's a great player. He slows the pace down, and he plays hard.
Todd says that's the first time Butler gave up 100 points since 1996. There you go.
Dang. Yeah, I used to like watching Butler. I love Gordon Hayward, so it was kind of a full circle moment. And also we got beat by him last year, so it's a little bit of a revenge game.
Yep. Yeah, you guys did a good job, especially in the first half on Pierre Brooks. He only had 3 points, I think, in the first half. Bronco 130 says that missed shot tap out to Cardenas for 3 to keep the scoring gap growing was a very nice play.
Yeah, so I do the little things. I saw JB go there, so I had Bizjack on me, so I might as well just seal him down low. And then happens to come to me, and then bam, another 3.
RJ, your shooting over the last few games has increased and improved a lot. Where'd that come from? And he says, why haven't we seen that all season?
Yeah, so when Leon told me he's taking me out of the starting lineup, he goes, we need more scoring. And I'm like, well, I mean, I can score, coach. Like, I can shoot the ball pretty well. But so I was like, all right, let's play loose and go be out there and confident and just snap them in. Yeah, I've been hitting them kind of recently, finally. But just playing hard and letting the threes come to you, not forcing them. If I'm open, shoot them. If it comes to me, I mean, I can knock them down and just be more of a scorer. My goal next year is probably, like I was talking to David Moats, and just being a knockdown shooter again and being confident. And if you watch us in the shooting drills, you would think I'm the best shooter on the team, but I just got to translate the game a little bit more. And it's coming. I think at 5 threes in the last 4 games. I saw that tweet somewhere. And, yeah, just keep being confident, knock them in when it matters.
Johnny says, loved Gus Johnson giving your dad a shout-out for being a McDonald's All-American in 1992, playing with Jason Kidd, Corliss Williamson, Chris Collins, Tony Delk, etc. Your dad was a heck of a player. It was funny. We were down in the Cayman Islands, went out to a meal one night. Actually, I think we were watching the Boise State football game, got together with your parents and Abe Jackson and some others, and we were comparing the shooting stats of Abe Jackson, the color analyst, with your dad's shooting back in the day. Your dad was a heck of a player, man.
Yeah, my dad was the reason why I'm playing ball right now. I mean, he's who I look up to, and he's a great dude. He didn't never put any pressure on me, just been who I am my whole life. And, yeah, my dad was a hell of a player, McDonald American, played 4-year starter at Illinois. He was, I think when he left Illinois, he was second all-time in three-pointers made. I think he's third, fourth right now. And he's a great player. He was in attendance yesterday, and that's kind of where me and my brother get it from, man. I love him to death, and he's coming back on Saturday.
Now, you didn't quite have the seats, of course, not surprisingly, that I had for the hockey game the other night, but you had solid seats. I heard you got to go to the game, you and Pearson. That had to be cool. And then tonight, it sounds like the whole team. I don't know if that's a Crown thing or if that was somebody at Boise State that set that up, but fill everybody in. Pretty cool. The whole team gets to go to the Vegas Golden Knights hockey game tonight. And for the rest of the team that wasn't there the other night, going to get to see T-Mobile Arena a little early before you guys practice there tomorrow and play there on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know too much information on that, but I think we're going to be in a suite, to be honest.
Wow.
I think that's the game plan going in. I know the Crown gives discounts on teams if they want to get the suite on Thursday. And with 4 teams left, Leon told me, hey, Keene, you win a couple games, you get to go to a hockey game. And little did Leon know, I went 2 nights ago too, of course, because I'm a sports guru to death, and I love watching puck. And yeah, I'm excited to see the Winnipeg Jets. Where are they first? They're high up there, aren't they, BJ?
Yes, they are. They're very high up there. But how about the St. Louis Blues, man? 10 in a row now.
Yeah, that's our squad, BJ. We got one thing in common, and it's the St. Louis Blues. And hey, if they can go on a little run here, I mean, a little flashbacks from 2019, and I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yes, not at all. All right, so you get 2 days down here, and then you focus in. I know you haven't really done a lot of look yet at Nebraska, but they are a very solid team in terms of the Ken Palm and the net and all that. They're right there even with you. I mean, this is going to be a pick-em, maybe a 1-point spread type game, going to be a one of the tougher games you guys have probably played this season, to be honest. They were a NCAA tournament team, kind of lost some games down the stretch and missed out. But, again, I know you haven't done the scouting report, not trying to put you on the spot here, but just your thought on Saturday on Fox, T-Mobile Arena, another $50,000 on the line, playing a Big Ten team here with a chance to tie the school wins record.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Big Ten basketball, so I watch Big Ten basketball all the time. It's on random days during the week, and I got to watch Nebraska quite a bit this year. And they're a good team. Hoiberg, little point guard, coach, pretty good. Bryce Williams, hell of a player. And they got some bigs that can play ball, and they know how to play the right way. They got some shooter off the bench. And it's going to be a fun matchup. I mean, 2 teams that a month ago, they were probably both in the NCAA tournament. And it's going to be a fun matchup. The fans are going to – Nebraska travels, Big Red Nation. It's one of the best fan bases in the world. So it's going to be a fun game. And on Fox, FS1, and hopefully Gus Johnson on the call again because he brought some good luck.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be a fun game. I mean, Fox is doing a great job. It looks like watching the game back the other day, it looks like it's like an NBA game. It looks like a high-level Final Four game is the way they're doing everything with the announcing, the crew. And Fox is doing one hell of a job.
Yeah, it's not FS1. It's Big Fox. It's National Fox on Saturday.
We're on National Fox on Saturday?
National Fox on Saturday, yes, and Sunday. And Gus Johnson is on the call, and your game and then the game after yours leads right into the actual Final Four as well. So, I mean, it's like I said, there's 8 teams playing basketball on Saturday. It's pretty cool, man.
That means my grandma doesn't look up for the random numbers. She can go into single digits to find the game. That's going to be pretty cool. That's going to be awesome.
RJ, we're going to talk football here. I want to bring in our man Michael Callahan. I'm not sure your relationship with Michael. Obviously, Michael Callahan is doing a tremendous job joining us here as a he's now graduated. He's a part-time BNN analyst here. What do you think of Michael Callahan's football career here, RJ?
I mean, I went to every game, and he had one hell of a career. He brought energy. I mean, if you talk about a guy who brought energy, I feel like he was always hyping up someone or running someone over. Yeah, Callahan was a hell of a player.
I was going through the comments right here. Stiff white boys got to stay together, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what you said, but that is quite literally defines my whole career at Boise State. So, hell yeah, bro.
I mean, yeah, as long as the stiff white boys stick together, I think Boise State's in great hands.
Yeah.
RJ, appreciate you for jumping on, man. Congrats on the win. Enjoy the hockey game tonight. And you never had this opportunity, Michael. I mean, they got $50,000 last night for winning that game. If they win on Saturday, they get another $50,000. I don't know if that's coming to football at some point or what, but that would have been a pretty cool deal for a football player to be playing for some cash.
Yeah, it's so sweet. I mean, that's got to be that had to feel pretty good. I can't imagine what that win must have felt like to have that coming in. I know it's like a side part, and that's not your guys' goal or anything, but that's not a little sum of cash right there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a little cherry on top. I mean, it's not our it's not our goal, to be honest. Our goal is 28 wins, but yeah, it's fun. And I mean, they should maybe for a bowl game, someone has to some big NIL company just comes in and says, hey, this is a money bowl game. Maybe they could do that.
That's actually not a terrible idea. That would probably, raise the participation rates in these bowls. Because if you're not in the playoff, you're looking at like freaking maybe half your starters playing anyways. So
well, why is it any different? Why is a bowl game any different than the Crown Tournament? I mean, it's a meaningless kind of extra thing, right? I mean, not meaningless, but I mean, it's not the NCAA tournament. It's not the sanctioned college football playoff. Like, I would think of any non-CFP bowl game is the exact same, should be set up the exact same way, and they should be able to offer some money for the winning team.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like these teams in the Crown Tournament aren't seeing like a high exodus of like players with the portal. Like, it seems like guys are actually playing in this tournament. Like,
they're in the portal, they're still like playing. Yeah, some of them.
Yeah, they're in the portal and still playing.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah,
well, there's a lot of that too, so that makes sense.
You know, the portal day and age, it's actually ridiculous out there, and you probably experienced it too. It's like
it makes no sense with the timing of anything or guys hopping in midway through or anything. I don't understand it, but I do agree with you. That's actually an interesting concept of like if somebody jumps in and says, hey, we're going to put $2 million in NIL money for the winner of this game, to spread across. I don't know how you do it with the football roster. You're looking at 85 guys, maybe a little bit more, depending on which school you're going to now. I mean, versus how many guys are on a basketball roster in college?
Well, we got probably 12 dudes that made the trip.
Yeah, right. So there's a little bit less money to, Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, it's hard to pay those. I mean, to divvy it out, that's why it's nice with basketball. You can give it to your 12 dudes and just say have lose. Football, you got damn near 100 kids.
Did you ever play football back? Did you ever play football back in the day, RJ?
Hell no, I was soft. I played baseball.
I did too. And you're good, dude. I was way more into baseball than football until my freshman year of high school, dude. Like, if I had the choice, I would have played baseball every day of the week over football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm built like Kevin Durant, BJ. What position do you think I'm going to play?
I could see you robbing some home runs out in center field or something. Come on.
Maybe if I could, like, get the gym, maybe it'd be a little Eric Weddle action. But, like, yeah, I don't really see myself fitting on the gridiron.
You would have been a heck of a punter, man.
I don't know. Funny story is I broke my hip kicking a field goal, so I don't think that's gonna be a fun thing for me to do.
Bronco 130 says baseball guy Jay Tust would love to hear they were soft, so they played baseball.
That was a quick comment. He must have been typing that up relatively quick because we just said that like 5 seconds ago.
RJ, appreciate you, man. Let you get back to the preparations here in Vegas. Enjoy the hockey game tonight. Thanks again to Signature Roofing, and we'll see you Saturday, man. Another $50,000 on the line in the semifinals over there at T-Mobile Arena, man. It's pretty cool. Congratulations, and appreciate you jumping on, man.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me, BJ.
There he is, RJ Keene, again, Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. We appreciate them for their support of RJ and our NIL deal to have him on the show here, and even that's crazy. I mean, the money's crazy, but that's even crazy in the last couple of years to have media appearances and things set up with NIL deals and stuff. So we appreciate Signature Roofing for their support of RJ Keene. And again, online, My Signature Roofing. You can get more information, all your roofing needs at mysignatureroofing.com. Michael Callahan, former Boise State defensive lineman, joins us. We're going to talk a little football here. We will get back to the basketball talk, folks. Nathan Carroll will join us. We'll get into the recruiting and the 4-star UCLA point guard transfer they got yesterday. We'll discuss that and maybe take a quick look ahead to the Nebraska game tomorrow, but a little bit later in the show. But did want to talk some football with Michael. And one more thought on that NIL thing. That is an interesting concept. That you guys get your little gift. It's like a $500 value, they would say in the past, where you can get a little gift suite and get some free gifts and all that for going to a bowl game, and that was kind of the cool deal. But now, if they could say, "Hey, we'll give you $5,000 if you lose, $5,000 for playing, but $10,000 if you win," or just something like that, I would suspect that would make guys be a little more motivated in practice and in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, like we were talking about with RJ, I don't know what the logistics of it, just because of the roster size. And I know that, pretty soon in college football, the roster size is going down to, 85, 90 guys, depending on which school you're at. So, I think that incentivization in a bowl game setting would help for, let's say it's not the playoff or it's not, a big name bowl game, just throwing in, an extra $20,000 for And I don't know if you do it for the whole team or you do it for the travel squad or you do it for a certain percentage of snaps played in the game. You might have to look at that too, because you still might have opt-outs. And, if you're an opt-out, you don't get the money. I don't know how they could make that work with a bowl game with the NIL incentivization, but it'd be a pretty cool concept. And I know that I would probably play my balls off regardless, but I would play pretty freaking hard if there was a good amount of money on the line.
Yeah, and I think for sure you'd have guys that maybe the portal season and all that would impact that some as well. But you would probably certainly have guys if cash were on the line. You'd have red shirts. You have guys that are injured. Do they still get paid? I mean, there's some things you'd have to figure out. But interesting concept. I don't know why a bowl game is any different though than the Crown Tournament. So if they can offer money in something like this, I don't know what, if you get somebody to back it up for bowl games, and people keep talking about bowl games being, more and more quote unquote meaningless now that you have the CFP and everything. So I think that would be a way to, I'd watch the Potato Bowl if there were $5 million on the line. You'd have teams fired up to come out and play in that game if that's what it meant. So, we'll see. That is an interesting topic moving forward here. I did want to get you on. Obviously, spring football going on. We did have the unfortunate news yesterday with Braxton Feely. That has been made public now, and I know you're close with him, a friend of his, teammate of his. But obviously, for this defensive line, man, now that you're a former player / media member, kind of looking at this big picture here, that's a big loss for this defensive line, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big hit. You can't look at it any other way. Obviously super close to Braxton. Love him to death. Never would think a bad thing about him regardless. And I respect whatever decisions any of these guys make. At the end of the day, I won back-to-back Mountain West championship rings with him, like blood, sweat, and tears right next to him. So nothing against Braxton whatsoever. Like, now the attention turns to, what the actual state of the team is, because he's in the portal and he's gone. So now it's more important to look at who's there, who's in the building. And I'll tell you that there's a lot of young talent in that room. And yes, it is a developmental position, and that's perfect for the guys that we have on the coaching staff relating to that room. You have essentially 4 guys. You'll have Coach Shenander, Coach Frazier, Coach Miley, and you'll have Dimitri Washington. You'll have those 4 who will be 24/7 locked in on the entire front, edges included, but primarily to the defensive line room. They're going to be able to have another, April? So we got just under 6 months to get these guys ready to rock for a 14-game season. And I don't have more faith in anybody in the world than those 4 guys to get these guys ready to roll. And I know that there's a lot of talent in that room, and there's a lot of stuff that they need to prove and improve on. But I know that the urgency in that room just got bumped up and astronomically, and those guys are going to feel it, and they're going to have to develop right now. And they're going to be excited to reach the challenge, and I'm excited to see what that room does next year.
Yeah, a couple things on that. I would assume probably now too. The portal, works both ways too. I would assume Boise State maybe have to look to, maybe they already were, because we've talked a lot about the inexperience there, and I know they already had a couple additions via the portal, but that may need to be an area now where they say, okay, we got to go try to find another experienced, guy we can count on for real snaps in the portal along that defensive line here in the next month or so.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm certain that they're already checking it out and looking around. Not saying that in-house we don't have the talent, but at the end of the day, we have Deanna Washington, who's played, around 1,100 snaps in his career or something like that. And then outside of that, there's not a ton of snaps to go around in terms of experience in that room. So I'm pretty certain that we'd find another experienced guy to come in, and, it's a very, it's a good room to market to an NIL guy or a portal guy. Hey, come in. You're going to play. Like, we need you to be ready to go, come in, learn the defense, get ready to roll for a 14-game season, because we're going back to the Mountain West Championship and we're going to be fighting for a spot in the playoff. So it's a pretty good selling point to get another big player in the portal. And I truly believe that they're going to do everything they can to land someone great. And if that doesn't work out, I also have faith in the guys in the room right now and the urgency that they're going to have on a daily basis going through the rest of spring ball.
Now the timing, at least with 2 weeks or so here before the spring game, at least it happens now and not after the spring game. You do get 2 weeks for these guys, the guys that were already in there, to get even more reps and to, for them to kind of figure this out a little bit from that perspective. I'm sure you've talked to Braxton, and I'm not asking you to divulge anything secretive, whatever. I understand you have a personal relationship with them, but just in general, that the portal is not technically open yet. So a lot of fans are kind of talking about tampering and what else is going on there with him and with Andrew Simpson. And I want to ask you about him in a minute, but hey, if a guy has a chance at life-changing money, and nothing against Braxton Feely, I'm not sure he has a long NFL career ahead of him in terms of getting paid to play football. And if he can cash in right now and somebody wants to give him a big deal for a year, like, I think most fans, they say it sucks, but they understand it. Like, that's the day, and that's the way it is in college football right now. If somebody wants to pay somebody, who's going to tell them they shouldn't take a much larger paycheck than they were going to get somewhere else? It is a tough one to take when the head coach officiates his wedding, and it seemed like he was, right here and all in. But I know there's external factors. I guess I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but just in general, anything you're willing or can say just about Braxton. And I know, obviously loved Boise State, but sometimes you got to just do what's best for you financially, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it from like a global perspective and my perspective of what's going on in college football. Something has to change, because right now this is not a sustainable model for college football to survive and thrive based off of. I know ratings have been great. I know that the college football playoff expansion has been great, but with what we're doing with NIL right now, there's no structure whatsoever with these kids, and I'm not talking about Drew and Braxton specifically, because like I said, love both of them to death, put my blood, sweat, and tears in with those guys, and respect whatever they need to do for their own individual things. But I think with college football as a whole, you're not, it's not like right now, it's not like it's just Braxton Feely and Andrew Simpson that have entered the portal. This is happening across the country. In the middle of spring ball, guys are jumping ship and going into the portal and looking for whatever reasons they're getting in. And at the end of the day, that's not sustainable to a program and a culture if you have guys jumping in. And I know that that's not a consistent trend that we personally are going to feel. I know for a fact that we're good and we're going to be all right this year and we're going to kick some butt. But I mean, I know that from a global perspective, something's got to change. And I don't know if that turns into structuring contracts with these kids or structuring different agreements. And I know that, with revenue sharing coming out, it's going to turn into these kids being direct school employees versus student athletes. And yes, they are still technically student athletes because they're still going to school and getting their education. But with these deals with the school should help mitigate. I mean, from my perspective, it should change some things a little bit. Sure. And just prevent this from happening. But just from a global perspective, something's got to change and something's got to step up and create some form of structure, because right now it's been the Wild West. It's just that this year has been,
well, with the two portal windows, we heard Dirk Cutter come out and say, somebody on the D line got offered $700,000 by Oregon, and some of the other big offers that were thrown out there in December. Well, then Boise State hung on all these guys. Well, that gives 3 months for all these schools to go back to their boosters and be like, we need an extra $200K or whatever. And then in April, you go after the same guys again. I mean, it is it stinks. And like I said, the portal's not even open yet. And you're not even supposed to be talking to these guys if they're not in the portal for 2 more weeks. And yet 2 starters just got plucked from Boise State's team.
Yeah. And, that's obviously an interesting perspective of, these collectives being able to go back and generate more revenue or more money to give to these kids.
I mean, I would assume that's what's happening for some of these guys, right? They say no the first time, and they're like, well, all right, we'll talk to you in 3 months when the portal opens. But I mean, it doesn't, like I said, the bigger picture is the portal's not, as you said, it's not even open right now. No players. And I'm not saying this is not a negative towards Andrew Simpson or Braxton Feely. This is the system. It is. And if they're just sitting there and their phone rings and somebody says, here's $800,000, right, you're going to take the call. I mean, that's not on you. I mean, I don't blame them one bit. And like I said, if I had a chance, if I, my playing career obviously went nowhere, but if I knew, hey, I don't know, there's injuries, like you can't guarantee anything. You could be a first-round draft pick, but you don't know what that means for your career moving forward. If you have a chance at a big amount of money, you're going to probably take that. And so I don't blame any of these guys that left. I blame the system, and I blame, the tampering or whatever from the other schools. But you're right. I don't know how you change it. I don't know what you do. The Andrew Simpson loss. I don't have you for a ton of time today. The Andrew Simpson loss, let's talk about that for a second. Yeah. Another kind of surprising one that came out of nowhere. I saw him at pro day, saw him at practice the previous day. That was one that certainly hurts, but at least I know he was battling some injuries and things last year, but didn't have the statistical year last year that he had 2 years ago. I know you guys played a lot of dime and really only had one linebacker out there. So from what this means next year, you think, okay, well, as long as Marco Notriani stays healthy, you feel pretty good about that. I'm not trying to, say that losing Andrew Simpson's not a big deal, but just that the scheme may help a little bit with overcome the loss or something like that. But just what'd you make of the loss of Andrew Simpson?
Yeah, I looked at that from a schematic point of view. Like you were saying, we ran a ton of dime last year. That was just our strength of our defense. We had Alex Tubner, who was able to play that dime role. And we realized pretty early on in camp that Tubner was essentially playing will linebacker better than almost anybody in the conference could in the middle of fall camp. So that helped us get to that dime decision and being able to play at a high level with dime the entire year. Coming into this season, obviously with the concept of both Marco and Drew, it would be safe to assume that it would have been a lot more nickel than it was this year with dime, with the loss of Tubner and having two high level linebackers, first team all conference. Marco, I know Drew was all conference 2 years ago and was banged up last year. So having two high level linebackers would have probably pushed us to go to nickel. Now I'm interested to see what happens in terms of, okay, so does someone step up in that room? Do they grab someone from the portal? Do they move someone back from a position to play will linebacker and nickel? Or do we stick with dime, which we did last year, and we slide I don't know, like maybe a Ty Benefield down to that dime position? Because that's what Ty did in 2023 down the home stretch when we were successful with our pressures. We tied the school record in our first game in dime against Utah State in 2023. So Ty Benefield plays that dime position very effectively. And I think it'd be pretty interesting to see him slide back into that role this year. Because, for him, that just shows his versatility. And, he's able to, showcase some other talents that he has in a different way. And B, I think that as a defense as a whole with our personnel, that might maximize, at the end of the day, the job of the coaches is to get the best 11 guys on the field. And whatever that best 11 looks like in terms of what they see in both spring camp and fall camp and throughout this whole process of the offseason, I'm very confident by the time that we get to August 31st, the best 11 is going to be on the field, and they're going to be ready to roll and ready to hunt.
So, and that's great perspective, and I want to get into more of that maybe next week when we have more time to focus on football. And I'm trying to get Brad Bedell on with you so we can kind of get the coach's perspective, the player perspective next week as well. But final thing for you, just two guys lost. You obviously know this program very well, and there's some fans kind of worried the dam's going to break here, and it's just going to be another a mass exodus of players here. What's just your level of confidence, I guess, that there's not going to be a whole lot more departures here?
Don't count Spencer Danielson out. At the end of the day, I think that's the reasonable way to look at it. Would be kind of scared. We've seen in the past week 2 guys enter the portal, 2 starters, 2 impact guys get in. But at the end of the day, I know that whole coaching staff, and I know Coach D better than anybody, and I'm not even remotely worried about it. I think that those guys in the locker room are freaking hungry. And I don't think we're going to see a mass exodus at this point. I think that, these things do happen in college football across the board. It happens at the biggest schools in the country. You lose starters here and there. And now we're actually feeling that really for the first time since the portal has really exploded like this. And yes, it is a jump scare at first when you see 2 starters enter the portal in the middle of spring ball. But at the end of the day, the staff that's in place, the culture we have, the guys that we have in the building, and the relationships they have, I don't think we're going to see. I would be more than shocked to see another person enter the portal. I think they're going to stop the bleeding right here, right now. They're going to find out who wants to be here and who wants to be a Bronco and compete for championships and get back to the playoff. And they're going to have the right guys in the building and ready to roll.
Well, that's great to hear, and hopefully that calms the nerves of some of Bronco Nation out there. Michael, appreciate you, man. Different day. I jacked with the time as well this morning, so I apologize. Appreciate you for making this work, and we should be good back at Wednesday, hopefully next week. I know you're on the job hunt, and we're going to hang on to you as long as we can here. But by the way, somebody said, how is it possible that you still have helmet hair?
I got this is natural curly hair. I'm actually going to a haircut right now to get this trimmed up because this is what happens when I go 4 weeks without a freaking haircut. I mean, I get it from my mom. I've never gotten a perm or anything like that to have the curls. It's just I have permanent helmet hair. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's pissing me off, to be honest with you. Because I hop on some of these interviews, in the job hunt, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, I look like like
That's
this funny. Right now. So
that's funny. Well, we appreciate it as always, and just appreciate you for coming on. We'll get back to it next week. As I said, we'll try to team you up with Brad Bedell and get kind of the coach-player perspective on some of this. Jake Rips, another guy I wanted to talk to you about. Some people are bringing his name up, and he moved to the edge. Maybe they bring him back to linebacker. I don't know. We can get into him more next week as well. But appreciate you for jumping on, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks. Appreciate it, man. See you guys.
There he is, Michael Callahan. Always appreciate his insight and his analysis for coming on. We are down here in Las Vegas for the college basketball crown. We are at Circa Resort and Casino. Just an amazing spot. We're having fun. An extended show here. We're going to blow past the 1 hour mark here. Hope you guys are enjoying the show and want to keep it going because we will as well. Nathan Carroll is going to join us here momentarily to talk about Dylan Andrews, the new 4-star addition to the basketball team. We'll give you some more information on him and that game last night and a quick look ahead to the matchup with Nebraska as well coming up on Saturday. But first, this is a free show on social media, and you're watching it for free thanks to some great sponsors, including the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Anywhere in the world, you can get Boise State gear online at theblueandorangestore.com, or you can just go into the Boise Town Square Mall, the second floor next to Pro Image, and that is the Blue and Orange Store. They got the clearance rack at the front of the store, best value in town. You're looking for Boise State gear, the best selection, the best prices. Hit up the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, lithiafordboise.com. We appreciate them as well. They got some great deals going on right now, and just highly recommend the team at Lithia Ford of Boise. Jim Sturk and company. We're talking NIL, Cage Casey, Roger Carrion, Latrell Capel. Some of these guys, they are taking care of them with vehicles at Lithia Ford of Boise on the NIL front. So return the favor. They're trying their best to help keep guys in town. When you're looking for your next car, truck purchase, please make it at Lithia Ford of Boise. Hey, Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. When you buy or sell a home with Matt, you get to meet everybody in the picture. The first-class service is just unmatched. Bauscher Real Estate, he will fight for you for your sale. He will fight for you, when you're buying, selling. He did it for us and got us some great deals, so I'm very appreciative. I found out firsthand why he is the number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Get more information online. Tell him you heard about him on BNN. That's Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. And Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. If you want just a hometown feel when you walk in that grocery store, friendly environment, Ridley's Family Markets, the Keene location. They're across the Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, surrounding states. Highly recommend Ridley's at Family Markets. It's just got that hometown grocery store feel when you walk in there. If you download their Skip app, you can skip the checkout line. Also get savings up to 40% off. So highly recommend it. We appreciate the Ridley's and Ridley's Family Markets. Again, online at shopridleys.com. All right, having fun here at Circa Resort and Casino. We're talking basketball. We're talking football. Let's get back to the basketball front. We do have a lot of comments coming in here as well. But let's bring on our man, Nathan Carroll. We appreciate Nathan for jumping on here. There he is. Does a tremendous job for us at BNN, looking at some of the numbers and the analytics and things and watching the tape and what does that, film study equal in terms of what the numbers say. And we're going to talk a little football with the loss of Braxton Feely, a little basketball as well. We'll start with basketball. But Nathan, first of all, man, appreciate you. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Lacking sleep these days with the newborn as well as the toddler running around, but we're doing good, and eventful 48 hours here for Bronco Nation and Boise.
Yeah,
State.
no doubt. No doubt. We appreciate you for juggling everything and turning around some quick content for BNN when stuff's kind of been breaking here the last couple of days. We had the Braxton Feely, the Andrew Simpson, and then yesterday, you kind of tipped me off in the morning about this being a possibility, and I kind of poked around. You just never know on Twitter when a guy's got 500 followers. You're just always a little skeptical about the reports and things. But it turned out that the gentleman that had kind of first predicted that turned to be spot on. But Dylan Andrews, a former top 50 recruit, 4-star player, UCLA starting point guard, committing to Boise State, and kind of came out of nowhere. We had never seen any lists or names that he was on. We literally saw that projection, yesterday or the day before, and the next thing you know, we get the report during the game that he had signed. I think you said it was the best in your story, which, by the way, is posted, and folks can go read it at BroncoNationNews.com. You said maybe one of the best days for this season, and I added a line in there that said one of the best days maybe for next season too, because they get Dylan Andrews in the middle of the game. It's announced that he had signed. Nobody at Boise State, by the way, has confirmed this. There's just paperwork. There's legality things involved. So Boise State has not confirmed this, but multiple media reports, which means it is happening. On3, I think Tipton edits. There's been a couple others. Dylan Andrews, committing, quote unquote, signing the UCLA transfer. Tell us how big of a deal this is for Boise State.
Simply massive. I think there's a case to be made that it's probably the biggest transfer in school history and program history, just in terms of the fact that Boise State has never gotten a proven Power 5 player before, right? There's been plenty of Power 5 guys who are highly touted recruits come in, Emmanuel Acott, Abu Kijab, even more recently, you've got like Buzo, you've got Dylan Anderson, right? A lot of these guys came from Power 5 programs, but they hadn't really played at that level. This is a guy who started 60 games for UCLA the past 2 seasons. He's been their bona fide starting point guard, and for good reason. He's not just a former top 50 recruit. He's flashed on that ability. He's shown that he can play at a really high level. In the Pac-12 tournament as a sophomore, had 31 points against Oregon State, and then follows that up with a 24-point performance against Oregon. Really, really talented player. I think there's a lot that he brings to the table here. I think the floor of what he could be for Boise State's really high. I really don't see a world where he's a guy who, big name transfer, but maybe doesn't get a ton of playing time, which we have seen before. I think that he's going to come in, he's going to play right away. And I think the ceiling for him is absolutely massive, right? He played 60 or started 60 games the last 2 years at UCLA. And part of why he leaves is because UCLA decides to bring in Donovan Dent, who's going to kind of fill his role. So if you're talking about, what is he as a player? Well, maybe he's a notch below Donovan Dent. That's going to be a really, really good player for Boise State.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, somebody yesterday was kind of poo-pooing it because he only averaged 6 points a game or whatever, and said, oh, he'll be the next guy to come in and be a bust like, Dylan Anderson or whatever. But, I mean, you look at the history Boise State has had, and whether it's an Abu Kijab, scoring 2 points a game at Oregon, or a Chibuzo Abo, I think it was like 1 point something points at Texas Tech. Emmanuel Acott didn't have any stats at Arizona. I mean, you talk about these guys that have come from Power 5 schools. Boise State, for the most part, has done a pretty good job. I know Dylan Anderson didn't work out, but for the most part, when they brought in these Power 5 guys that are, quote unquote, transferring down to the Mountain West, they've identified guys and it's worked. And like you said, this isn't even that case. This is a guy that it has proven it at that level. I mean, it has done it. I mean, Boise State doesn't typically get guys. You either get the guys that have scored a lot of points at a lower level or a lower school, like a Marcus Shaver at Portland, or an Armouche at East Tennessee State or whatever, or Javen Buchanan at the NAIA level. If you want guys with production, they're usually coming from smaller schools. And then when you get the guys that are coming down from the bigger schools, it's the higher ranked guys that didn't have a fit at their school and are looking for playing time, that kind of thing. You get a little bit of both here with Dylan Andrews, which is pretty rare for Boise State.
Yeah, and people will point at the 6, almost 7 points per game that he had this past season. He scored almost 13 points per game as a sophomore, right? In a pretty good Pac-12 his sophomore year. So this guy has proven that at the Power 5 level, he can be a volume scorer. I went through and watched some of the film, particularly watched some of his 2023 tape from his sophomore year, as well as this past season, or excuse me, it'd be 2024 tape from his sophomore year. One thing that is abundantly clear is that the offense wasn't the right fit for him at UCLA. This season in particular, UCLA just had a lot of point guards, a lot of ball handlers, and while he did show an ability to play a little bit off ball at UCLA, it's pretty abundantly clear. You watch the tape, he's a guy who is at his best with the ball in his hands. He had a lot of combo guard work this past year. At the end of 2024, when he really took a leap during his sophomore season, is when they just let him take the reins as full-time point guard. And I think that's the role he's going to play for Boise State next season. I think he's going to be an Alvaro Cardenas type that is on ball most of the time. He's a very different player than Alvaro Cardenas. In terms of stylistically, more of a downhill player, more of a scorer. He's not quite the floor general Cardenas is, but still a really good passer. I think he's a huge fit for what this team needed. You know, we've talked about how do you replace a guy like Alvaro Cardenas. I think Dylan Andrews is absolutely a guy who can replace him. The role will look different, but Boise State, I think they've got their starting point guard for next season.
Okay, so Andrew Meadow, Pearson Carmichael, Julian Bowie, Javen Buchanan, it's trending good for these guys to return to Boise State next year. If they get everybody else back that can come back right now on the roster, and then now you add in Dylan Andrews, still a couple of spots left here, but are we trending towards another offseason where this could be a pretty hyped up team that should have some pretty good expectations?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Right now you look at who's projecting to be at the top of the Mountain West next year. San Diego State, as currently stands, they bring back Magoon Guath. They've got Miles Bird. They just picked up a nice transfer point guard as well. They'll be towards the top. Utah State, I think they're a transfer or two away from being in that conversation, but they still should be really good with Mason Falslev coming back. But you look at this team, Javen Buchanan, especially the way he's played down there in Vegas, man, he's starting to look like an all Mountain West player once again. There was some concerns about a little bit of regression towards the end of the year. He confirmed in a post-game interview yesterday that he's been playing through some injuries, which is, I think, something that we had kind of questioned behind the scenes. Like, man, he just doesn't look quite right. If he gets back to full health next season, he looks like an all Mountain West guy. And I think the big thing is by getting in Dylan Andrews, it allows Andrew Meadow to still be that kind of tertiary scorer that we're not relying on Meadow to create a ton of offense for himself. And I say that as a compliment because Andrew Meadow is phenomenal at attacking closeouts. He's a great spot-up shooter in the corner. We've seen over these past two games, he's really good at running in transition. So bringing in a guy like Dylan Andrew, Javen Buchanan playing the way that he is, it kind of helps everybody fit into their roles a little bit better. A guy like Julian Bowie is now a backup point guard who can play some two guard for you as well. Pearson Carmichael, you're no longer expecting to be, a primary initiator. He can be more of an off-ball guy. I'm pretty bullish on where this team's at next year. As of right now, I would probably have them as my early 2 to 3 in the Mountain West, as long as Miles Bird and Magoon Guath are back at San Diego State. I think.
They got 2 spots. That's with this roster, but they got 2 spots left. They're going to go add 2 more guys.
Yeah, they've been in some discussion, at least online, with a couple of bigs. I think that's clearly a need for this team right now. It's Emmanuel Ugbo, Dominic Parolin are the 2 kind of certified bigs in there. So you get a big who can run some pick and roll. Dylan Andrews, really good pick and roll ball handler. So if you get a guy alongside him who can do a lot of rolling action, can score the ball a little bit more, there's spots open. I think I think they've got 2 or 3 spots open left here. And if you can get, a shooter, a big, I think that there's a world where we're talking about this team potentially being towards the top of the Mountain West. And even right now, let's say they don't add anybody else. They use those 2 scholarships or 3 scholarships on redshirt players or incoming freshmen. I think expectations should be high for this team, just between Buchanan, Meadow, and Andrews coming in. I think that's a really solid core 3.
I know they really like Ethan Lathan, the 6'10" kid coming off the bench as a big. You mentioned Dominic Parolin. I think they really like him as well. But I'm kind of bullish on Pearson Carmichael, too. This dude, the experience he got this year and going into next year, I think he's got a chance to really emerge as a star next year with his shooting ability and his size and the confidence he now has when you watch him in these games down here in Vegas and he gets another off season to work on his game. I think Pearson Carmichael, man, is just a star in the making. And as Tyler says, don't forget about Spencer Aarons as well, coming in, the Canadian, I believe. They're very high on him. But no, I have they've got 2 spots left, and I fully expect them to use those. And if you can get even serviceable guys with those 2 guys, I really like the makeup of this team right now. And I know some of the haters and detractors will say, oh, here we go again, another offseason of hyping up a basketball team to miss the tournament or whatever. I get it, but I mean, we can only talk about what they have and or don't have. And on paper, they have a team that looks like with this edition is well on its way to being another, team competing for the tournament next year, 20+ wins. I mean, this was a big-time pickup. We'll see when Boise State announces it or, when and if and when the coaching staff can talk about this. But it was a nice start. And my understanding is hasn't even visited Dylan Andrews. I mean, the Boise State's still playing, so he hasn't even visited Boise. This has all been over phone and text and Zoom. And so I don't know if he'll come visit, even though he's already signed or committed here once they get back from the Crown. But to be able to get a guy like him sight unseen to commit to and sign with Boise State, it just instantly changes, at least for now, the outlook for next season.
Yeah, and the thing I think I like most about the signing, beyond just the talent and what he could be, because I really do think he could be a first-team All-Mountain West type player next year, given what he's shown on film. I mean, I watch these games, and there's just a lot to love about his game, right? High IQ player, not a great shooter, but he's a capable shooter. He's actually been a better three-point shooter than what Boise got out of Cardenas this year. So in some ways, kind of an upgrade at the point guard for shooting. But I think the thing I like most is just the versatility that he provides. One of the issues with this year's team is that there's just a little too much redundancy with some of the guys on the roster, right? They didn't have point of attack defense. They didn't have rim protection. There really wasn't a backup point guard that they could go to. And now with a guy like Andrews coming in, you're going to be able to run a lot of pick and roll, but you're also going to be able to run in transition a lot more. I think he steps in day one and is Boise State's best perimeter defender. In the film I watched the Wisconsin game this year. Wisconsin made a point not to attack him. Whoever Andrews was guarding, somebody else was getting the basketball. And I think that speaks to how Wisconsin viewed him as a defensive player. I think there's a world where he's a all Mountain West defense, defensive player of the year type player right out of the gates. But they're going to have more lineup versatility, be able to throw more looks out there next season. And yeah, I think hype is going to be justified. Look, obviously this year's season, there was a lot of hype. When the season's over, we'll have some articles and analysis on kind of where things went wrong. And look, it's been a good season, but when you're the preseason pick to win the conference and you finish 5th, no doubt about it, it's a little bit underwhelming. But a lot of stuff went into that. A lot of other programs took leaps that we maybe didn't anticipate. A couple of guys on Boise State didn't quite hit as much as we were expecting to. I wouldn't let this season detract from your excitement for next year, because this roster is shaping up to be an NCAA tournament squad once again.
All right, Nathan Carroll's our guest for a couple more minutes here. I want one thought on the game yesterday / Nebraska game, and I do want to ask you about Braxton Feely real quick, but I want to thank Transportation Compliance Service, transcomservice.com. If you want to get into the trucking industry, transcomservice.com can help you every step of the way. The DOT overweight permits, everything you need. Transportation Compliance Service, a local company in the Treasure Valley, helping out folks all over the world at transcomservice.com. Lean Feast. If you need some good food, how about Lean Feast? LeanFeastMeridian.com. LeanFeastMeridian.com is their website. 10,000 plus combinations: steak, chicken, shrimp, fish, you name it. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's good for 5 days in your refrigerator, so you can have that full week of meals delivered on a Sunday or Monday, and you're good all week, and you just pop it in the microwave for 2 minutes. Lean Feast. LeanFeastMeridian.com. I can't. The food at Circa, Nathan's very good here, but I've had one too many of the Oreo shakes, I think, on the way to my room. I'm looking forward to getting back on Lean Feast when we get back to Boise here. LeanFeastMeridian.com. And we had RJ Keene on the show earlier, thanks to Signature Roofing. Speakpipe.com/BNN is that voice inbox if you want to leave a voicemail. Speakpipe.com/BNN. Leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox. We'll play it on an upcoming show. Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com, and covering our community for more than 2 decades. Whether it's a re-roof, or repair, an estimate, and inspection, you can get that online at mysignatureroofing.com. We got our new roof from Signature Roofing. Very happy with that. It's been a great roof to this point, and a tremendous customer service. So Signature Roofing online at mysignatureroofing.com. BNN.com. All right, Nathan Carroll's with us for a couple more minutes. Nathan, don't need to look back too much on last night's game. It's over, 100-point win. First time, I guess, since 1996. Butler's given up 100 points, somebody said. But 100 points defensively wasn't great, giving up 93. But got the win. Moving on to the semifinals, Tyson gets over 2,000, and now they're playing a Nebraska team, a very intriguing game. Ken Pom has this as a 1-point game, basically a 50-50 type game, 51%. Nebraska, one of the better teams Boise State will have played all season here in terms of they were really rolling. They were in the tournament and then kind of, faded down the stretch, but they have no bad losses. They're in that, just tough Big Ten where they're just battered and battle tested, and this is going to be a tough game on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, reflecting on the Butler game, this offense looks fantastic. I can't remember a time where an offense looked as bad as it did for 8 minutes and then has looked as good as it has for 72 minutes, right? I put it in the article. I think there were 3 points in the first 8 minutes of that George Washington game, and then they were on 104-point pace the rest of the game. They followed that up with a 100-point performance against Butler. Some of that's Butler. Butler has a really good offense and a suspect defense. That's been their game all year. But Boise State's looking really good, and they'll need to look really good against Nebraska. I put out a little bracket on Twitter before the Crown started, and I had Boise and Nebraska in the semifinals because I really do feel like these are the two best teams in this tournament. Nebraska has the nation's leading scorer, Bryce Williams, going to be a handful for whoever guards him for Boise State. And I think they'll probably throw a lot of guys at him, whether it's Cardenas, some Meadow, maybe some RJ Keene on him. But it's going to be a tough matchup. Nebraska's a good basketball team. They shoot well. They rebound the ball well. They play tough defense. In a lot of ways, they look in some ways like Boise State. So I'm expecting it to be a really close game. I felt pretty confident with these last two games that Boise State was going to be able to win. There was just some matchup stuff I really liked for both of them. This Nebraska one will be tough. I think it's a coin flip. I haven't dove super deep into it and haven't come to my, prediction, my conclusion on it yet, but I know it's going to be a tough game. And I will say this, I think whoever wins this Boise State Nebraska game ends up taking the $300,000 grand prize. I think they end up. Yeah.
We saw your bracket. You picked Nebraska in your bracket here. Come on.
Bryce Williams, a tough cover, man. I think he had 28 in their win last night. He nation's leading scorer, man, and Boise State struggled with guards like him who can go get their shot all season long. I just think it's a really tough matchup. Now, I will say this: when I filled out that bracket, I didn't know Boise State was going to be scoring, 95 points per game. Had I known that, I might have picked the Broncos. So if Boise State shoots as well as they have over the past two games, they're going to be really, really tough to beat. But Nebraska is a better defensive team than George Washington or or Butler. So we'll see. I'll do a preview article and we'll have that up before the game on Saturday. But I do think it'll be a good competitive basketball game. And yeah, man, for the people who are doubting the Crown or maybe concerned about what the product would be, Boise State, Nebraska is going to be an NCAA tournament caliber game. That's really what it comes down to, I would say. Two really good basketball teams who, had they gotten in the dance, absolutely could have won games, especially with the way both these squads are playing right now.
Jordan Morales loves to point out the basketball situation, which is absurd, but that they don't all use the same ball. But they are using a Nike ball here at the Crown, which Boise State uses during this regular season. So maybe that helps, as opposed to using a Wilson ball or whatever it is in the NCAA tournament. Some other transfer news just coming in here. Disappointing. I hate to tell you here, Nathan Carroll, but all right. I know you were a big fan of his. He has committed to Xavier. So he is Richard Pitino gets all right from Valparaiso. He was originally, there was a list that Boise State had reached out to him. That was kind of a pipe dream probably, but take one off the list of an addition. All rights going to Xavier. Final thing for you. Speaking of transfers, you did a piece for us on Braxton Feely entering the transfer portal on the football side. You looked at the numbers. What do the numbers say? How big of a loss is Braxton Feely for this football team?
Yeah, definitely some mixed reviews on the loss of Braxton Feely, right? He was second team All Mountain West. I think the coaches will tell you he's a huge loss. A lot of fans will say he's a huge loss. My other employer, PFF, not as high on Braxton Feely. He's got a PFF grade of, I believe it's 55.7. I don't have that number right in front of me. 60 is considered replacement level. Essentially, you dive into the film, and PFF says, yes, he's really good as a designated pass rusher on true passing downs. That's where he thrives. But against the run, he gave some stuff up. Looking back, I rewatched some of the Fiesta Bowl, and I think the film lines up with that. He struggled at his size to defend the run against Penn State's offensive line, which, to be fair, I don't know how many of our defensive linemen at Boise State had a great game against Penn State's offensive line. But I think that it could be a manageable loss for Boise State. He's a very good player, was third on the team in pressures. He's a really good pass rusher. And I think it's a case where I don't know that they'll be able to replace his pass rushing right off the bat, but they might be able to just give different looks with some better run stuffers. Now, and I know Michael Callahan talked about this, the guys that are in-house for Boise State aren't proven. They don't have the snap counts that Braxton Feely has. Really is just Dion Washington, who's got 1,100 career snaps. That's the one proven player on the roster. So I think there's a world where it's a brutal loss that kind of defines Boise State's season in some ways if they aren't able to find his replacement. But at least the numbers say that he might be a replaceable player for this Bronco team, and they might even be able to upgrade in some ways with one of these other options. It'll just be a matter of who steps up into that role.
And what about Andrew Simpson, his loss and the defense they play and what that means?
Yeah, and again, Michael Callahan talked about this too. I thought he did a great job on it. Boise State played a ton of dime last year. Simpson essentially was splitting snaps with Marco Notriani. So now you've got a situation where Simpson steps out. I think Marco Notriani goes from I think he played 52% of Boise State snaps last year. That probably jumps to 75%, 80%. And then I think the staff really likes Chase Martin and Clay Martineau. I think that's part of why Andrew Simpson ended up stepping away. You know, the reality is with all this NIL stuff on, there's negotiations, and college coaches now have to decide where do we want our money to go. And I think part of the decision making there was, you know, do we pay Andrew Simpson X amount of dollars when we feel like we've got depth we like in Martin and Martineau? It really interested to see what they do with that dime will spot. If they play more nickel, do we see Martin or Martineau become the full-time starter? Or I really like what Callahan said, and does Ty Benefield kind of move back into that dime slot? I don't think that Ty Benefield had a great season last year as more of a roaming free safety. I think he's at his best when he can play a little bit closer to the box. And with Alexander Tubner graduating, that role kind of opens up. So I wonder if they stick with a lot of dime looks, Notriani as your one true linebacker, with Benefield playing a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Be interesting to see. You know, they've got a lot of options, I think, now. And, you know, we went from having a really good idea of what this defense is going to look like and who the names are going to be to now there's a couple of position battles that I think are going to be really fun to watch in spring camp and fall camp.
Well, Nathan, we really appreciate it, man. Like I said, I appreciate your hustle, man, especially down here myself covering this tournament and stuff, and just unable to kind of turn around some of these stories as quick as you have. And you've been within hours of a lot of these transfers and stuff, having full analysis and stories ready to go. So really do appreciate that. We'll add a little something extra in the next paycheck, and appreciate you for that. And I know we'll have more to go here, and looking forward to your preview story later tonight, tomorrow morning on the Nebraska matchup. And it should be a fun game on Saturday, man. Really appreciate your time as always, and we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, BJ.
There he is, Nathan Carroll. Appreciate him. We'll be back in 30 seconds. We're rolling along here from Circa Las Vegas on Bronco Nation News.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.
Bronco Nation News Live, almost 90 minutes in here from Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. It is a beautiful day today in Las Vegas, and again, just appreciative of Circa for having us down here. And it's been a fun couple of days so far. 2 wins, and going to have hopefully two more games to talk about. At least one coming up on Saturday. It'll be an 11:30 a.m. start in Boise, so we'll be live around between 10 and 10:30. We'll let you know when we figure out the logistics. As of now, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We'll be live. It's a 9:30. Going to be an early morning here in Las Vegas. 10:30 start time here in Vegas on Saturday. So excited though. It's fun to still be talking about basketball and Boise State basketball here in April, and a lot of excitement for this tournament and a lot of excitement already for next year with Dylan Andrews in the fold. If you want to read more about his numbers and his impact, the transfer from UCLA, who yesterday announced, through some media outlets, it was announced that he's going to be joining Boise State. You can read Nathan Carroll's article on that at BroncoNationNews.com. You can read my full recap on the win over Butler at BroncoNationNews.com as well. And we'd love to have you subscribe. $50, full year of Bronco Nation News. $50 gets you Mike Prater, Nathan Carroll, myself, all our content. You get a daily email, all kinds of great stuff. You see the promo we have going. Use that promo code at the bottom of the screen there. BNN 50 deal will take $20 off your first year. $50 for a full year, and that helps us, be down here covering these games in person and getting you the post-game interviews and getting you Nathan Carroll articles and Michael Callahan and Tust and Johnny and Prater and all these guys that we pay to come on here with us. The money goes back into the product here. So appreciate you guys. Subscribe if you can. At a minimum, please support the sponsors. You just heard us list all of them there. This is a Jackson's Thursday. We appreciate Jackson's. And, of course, our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. All of our sponsors. We could not do Bronco Nation News without our sponsors. This is a free show that you guys are watching that's approaching 90 minutes here with football and basketball talk. And we believe it's a quality product here. We believe it's, something that we're proud of. And, we hope you guys enjoy every day listening and watching BNN and knowing that when there's BSU news, you're going to go to BNN to find it. And that's only possible thanks to our great sponsors. So please support all the sponsors. Please tell the sponsors that you're supporting them because of BNN, and we appreciate them. That's going to do it. Bronco Nation News Live. Someone's knocking on our door here, so I got to go.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.
All right, we had the maid knocking on the door for service here. Apologize for that. No, not room service, not at all, but I didn't know what was going on there. I'm actually kind of surprised neither one of the people in the two rooms here are upset with me for broadcasting and talking loud here this early in the morning in Las Vegas. But that'll do it. We'll wrap it up. 90-minute show. Subscribe, support the sponsors, retweet, like, share, all that good stuff. Appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. We appreciate all of you for your support of BNN. Plenty of coverage coming. Tomorrow we'll be over at T-Mobile Arena for interviews, for practice. We'll get you set. But again, go read the website. Plenty of good stories on football, basketball at BroncoNationNews.com. We'll have another live show with Jay Tust tomorrow as well. So thank you so much, guys. Been fun. And we're going to keep this basketball ride going as long as we can. Boise State, the semifinals of the college basketball crown. They're still dancing in April. Who would have thought it? And we'll have you covered the next couple of days here. Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com. Have a good day, everybody.